Will the Rockets ever get Carmelo? Does he make them good enough to beat the Warriors? Should James Harden have won the MVP award? The only question left is, say it with me, you win. Hey sports fans, Coach Nick here, and welcome to the B-Ball Breakdown Podcast. Today I am excited to go through some Houston Rockets with Curtlow, who is a basketball analyst, radio personality, and he writes for houseofhouston.com, and he is all Rockets all the time. You got to check him out when he calls in, I think daily, to the SiriusXM NBA channel, and likes to get Eddie Johnson and Justin Termini all up in a bunch every time you call him in there. So Curtlow, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
You got it. Now. It's interesting that people can't see this, but you got your full Rockets jersey on. What number are you wearing?
I'm wearing Dwight Howard, and I'm ashamed of it.
Okay.
But I got Calvin Murphy that signed it, so that's all that matters.
So you have a Dwight Howard jersey, a big man, with Calvin Murphy, one of the smallest guys to play, the signature. That's interesting. It's got some things going on there. And
Calvin Murphy. Let me tell you the story. Calvin Murphy actually didn't want to sign it. You know what I'm saying? I put it in. I signed it. He told his colleague. I said, man, I'm your second best fan, man. You know what I'm saying? You're the second best player in the Rockets history. I need this signature. All right. Yeah.
And he did it for you then, so he couldn't say no to you.
No, he couldn't say no, or I was going to come down there and make him. One of the two.
Well, who's taller, you or Calvin Murphy?
We about the same height, I think. Calvin Murphy's a small little guy.
Yeah, he is. And you got your cowboy hat on too. It's interesting because I don't take you for a cowboy.
Not at all, but this is Texas, so we gonna wear a cowboy hat today.
Now, talk to me really quickly about what happened in Houston with the hurricane. Everything okay with you?
Absolutely. Pray for everybody in Houston. There's still people out here that's homeless because of this. You know what I'm saying? You know, I'm not too worried about the rich people. You know what I'm saying? I'm more worried about the people that ain't got a living paycheck to paycheck, and they got flushed out of their apartments on the first floor. Pray for those people because they need the help.
I have a question for you about that, because what was interesting to me was how many heroes there were with their boats. You know, they're these regular, everyday people saving lives, right, all day long for that whole, several days. Where were the professionals who work for the government, who are supposed to be in there doing all that stuff? Did you feel like they were around as well, helping people?
No, not at all. And everybody came together. It didn't matter what race, religion you was. Everybody was helping everyone. You know what I'm saying? You know, it's disasters like this that bring us together. You know, thanks be to God.
Yeah. I just thought it was weird because it's kind of dangerous, and again, it's heroic and incredible. Those stories were amazing of these everyday people with their little tiny boats just going around helping people. But I kept thinking, where are the helicopters? Where are the National Guard? Where are all those the Navy or whoever is going to come in there with these and save people? I don't know. I just didn't see it, and I'm just wondering if someone in Houston, if you didn't see that at all when you were anywhere where you were.
Well, I did see it after a while, after 1 or 2 days. Yeah. What really pissed me off was Joel Osteen not opening his church for everybody else. You know what I'm saying? They had to take a public backlash for that man to open up his church. That's terrible.
All right, let's give him a half a benefit of the doubt. He did do it, and he did open it, I guess, right, at some point. But good point. It's really frustrating when you have to call those people out in public to get them to do anything. But let's go over to the Rockets, because now that things are, I imagine, things are getting back to normal now in Houston a little bit.
Oh, absolutely. It's been rainless for about 1 or 2 weeks, and it started back up 1 or 2 days ago. But everything is went down to where it should be. It's 90 degrees over here in Houston in the fall time.
Well, here we go then. It's time to break into the Rockets stuff. So we got the Rockets. Nothing has happened with the whole Melo thing. And what's the pulse in Houston these days as far as whether they want him or not?
Houston Rocket fans are wanting Carmelo Anthony, and they're expecting him. You ever go on Wojnarowski's page on ESPN? Anytime he puts out something, there's always going to be 10 or 15 Rocket fans that go in there and say, hey, I want to hear nothing about Melo. What's going on? What's up with Melo? You know what I'm saying? So excited to get this guy. Me, myself, don't share the same enthusiasm, but that's just me. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. So you're not that you don't want Melo to come on the team, or do you?
Oh, absolutely not. Did anybody watch Carmelo Anthony play basketball last year? It was horrible. It was horrible to watch. You know, people always want to blame. I've never seen so many excuses for one player in my life. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't Phil Jackson out there losing. It was Carmelo Anthony. What are people not realizing that? It wasn't Phil Jackson out there playing no defense. It was Carmelo Anthony out there playing no defense. You know what I'm saying? There's times where this guy would just jack up shots. I think he had an effective field goal percentage of like 48% or 49%. That's terrible, man. That's a horrible percentage. That's insane. You know, that's Corey Brewer status.
Uh-oh. We can share our disdain for Corey Brewer's game as well. Spend a whole podcast on that. Well, I'm just looking, in defense of Melo, I'm looking at his stats right now. His true shooting percentage last year was .535. It was actually higher than the year before. Highest it's been in 3 years. So here's the thing: like, look at his numbers. He averaged 22.4 points a game, played 34 minutes, grabbed about 6 boards and 3 assists. I understand the eye test doesn't really give you that, but he definitely, there was production being had, wouldn't you say?
See, people need to understand it's not about how many points you score. It's about how many shots it took to get those points. That determines a win and that determines a loss in the NBA. It doesn't. I mean, people can make it like the true shooting percentage. It's with how many free throw attempts and how many free throws made is with it. Yeah, effective field goal percentage is the new field goal percentage in the NBA nowadays.
Right,
so it adds the.
That was 48.8%. So you're right. It was low.
It's very low. You know what I'm saying? And if you look at the Rockets, you know what I'm saying? Every one of those, there's 15 guys on that roster last year that had a better effective field goal percentage than him. But I understand what you're saying when you say the true shooting percentage, though.
But you're right. You made a good point. But let's throw this out there, though, because if you think about how everybody in the Rockets does shoot better because their offense was better, they have more talent. So wouldn't you argue that, like, with Melo, and by the way, Melo clearly didn't really want to be in New York, right? It was a terrible, shit show there. So if you think about it, maybe there's going to be a resurgence there if he gets into a better situation and he'll play better. What do you think about that?
Oh, absolutely. I believe. Listen. Everybody wants to say he never had a point guard. When he had a point guard with Jason Kidd, I was talking to Stephen A. Smith about this, and he said specifically he never had a point guard. And when he did have Jason Kidd, he was better. You know what I'm saying? So I expect him to be a little bit better than what he was. But think about this: would you rather have a Ryan Anderson that shoots 40% from three, our best 3-point shooter, or you want 35% a 3-point shooter, Melo? Which one do you want? You know what I'm saying? I'm taking Ryan Anderson 9 out of 10 times with that last 3-point shot. Now, was he bad in the playoffs? Yes. But he shot. See, this is the thing. People get it misconstrued what Ryan Anderson did last year in the playoffs. He shot 12% from three in OKC. But the whole team for the Rockets shot 24% from three in the playoffs. Okay, I mean in that OKC series. But in that San Antonio Spurs series where they guard the three the best, you know what I'm saying? Ryan Anderson shot 39% from three. I mean, some of it's warranted. He's good on the home, he's good on the way, and he's good on the home. But I'm taking Ryan Anderson because he's the best fit for Harden and CP3. Think about it. CP3 was very effective when he had J.J. Redick over there. You know what I'm saying? J.J. Redick is a great spot-up 3-point shooter. And when you double-team these guys, double-team Harden, you double-team him, you want that 3-point shooter effect because you can't have because they'll just double-team Harden or whatever it is. They'll trap them into plays and make the other guys beat them. And Melo's got to make that shot. If he can, but the thing with Melo is it's not about is effective. It's the way he gets the ball and it just goes up into the air. It never comes back out. It's like the black hole. You know what I'm saying? Once the ball gets to Melo, it ain't coming back out to no one. So right. That's a big problem in the Dan Antonio's ball movement. You know what I'm saying? A predicated offense. And remember, Dan Antonio quit the next day after Carmelo complained. It was either him or Dan Antonio, and Dan Antonio quit that next day. So, you know what I'm saying? And you're going to bring this back over to Dan Antonio? There's going to be some problems, ladies and gentlemen. Y'all don't see it, but there's and not all of that, Coach. Let me one more thing. The defense is going to be one of the worst in the league. Can you imagine James Harden and Carmelo Anthony on the same court? You know what I'm saying? They're both lazy when it comes to defense. So that is going to be given up. If one man breaks down on defense, they all break down on defense.
Okay, fair enough. But I guess I'm a lot more optimistic because they signed a lot of really good defensive players who can kind of cover for that. And also the argument could very well be, because I think that James Harden could be a terrific defender. If he really wanted to, he has the tools, and he's shown every once in a while, some ability to really play defense. So my argument would be, okay, take a lot of the load off of the offensive end, which he wanted, right? He went to management and said, get Chris Paul in here because I don't want to do that much work on offense anymore. Well, where is that energy going to go? Like maybe more on the defensive end. Maybe he'll be average. I think to me it's weird. I feel like with the Melo kind of situation, if he can get out of the New York situation and get into a better environment, he'd be better. But you make a great point, and I don't think anyone's talking about it loudly enough, is the fact that D'Antoni and him had already had issues. He already doesn't really fit into what they want to do. In fact, Melo doesn't fit into any kind of a system offense, right? No matter what. You want the triangle, you want to run D'Antoni stuff. He wants to go back to the 90s where they just did ISO, the clear out for him. And so that's a problem either way. But if he ever did want to buy into that, I have a vision in my head of Melo and Harden and Chris Paul really causing some problems. And there's something else that will be causing you some legitimate problems in your closet. Where to put all the great clothes you'll get from Bombfell, an easier way for men to get better clothing. It's as simple as completing a questionnaire, which then gets you matched up with your very own dedicated personal stylist. I'm not saying you're going to be friends with them, but you're going to want to be when you see how well they match the clothes with your personal taste. When you sign up, you pay nothing. You only pay for the clothes you keep, free shipping and returns, and you can preview the clothes your stylist picked out for you before they send them. I'm literally wearing an awesome button-down shirt that Bombfell delivered right to my door. It's really soft, very high quality, makes me look thin, and it fits me like a ball swishes in the net. Well, you get the idea. And it doesn't stop there. Go to bombfell.com/CoachNick. That's BOMBFELL.com/CoachNick, and you'll get $25 off your first purchase. Imagine going to the mall to shop for clothes. Now, imagine sitting on your couch with the game on and your feet up to shop for clothes. It's completely flexible. You decide how often you'll receive clothes, and you can pause or cancel at any time. You only pay for the clothes you keep, and they never charge above retail price. My favorite part is trying on all the clothes for my wife, and we do it just like a cheesy 80s montage, right down to the big thumbs up from her when she likes what Bombfell sent. So head over to bombfell.com/CoachNick. Save $25 on your first purchase and start strutting down the street in some serious style. Plus, this is one of the best taglines I've ever heard. Check it out. Bombfell, open and clothes. Here's the real question. Is it even good enough anyway to beat the Warriors?
I think they would compete. Yeah, absolutely. In the playoffs, superstars and stars come out of nowhere. You need superstars and stars to advance in the playoffs. That's why it was so important not to get rid of Kyrie Irving like they did over there for the Cavaliers. You cannot get rid of the guy. I am not breaking up Kobe and Shaq. You know what I'm saying? So the more stars you have there, more scores. Remember, Coach, when the defense in the playoffs, defenses pick up. So it comes into a half court game. All right. So that defense, you got to have consistent scores in the NBA. That was the problem with the Rockets last year. They were relying too much on Ryan Anderson to be the second option. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And it fluctuated. That was the biggest problem.
Well, the other thing I can note, I feel like, is that if you're talking about fit in the team as it is now, you could argue that Ryan Anderson is a better fit for the Rockets and what they need than Melo would be anyway, wouldn't you?
Absolutely, and I'm trying to explain that to Rocket fans. They think I hate Melo. I'm explaining to you, Ryan Anderson is the best. He spreads the floor for Harden. That means he can drive to the lane, kick out, do what he wants to do. You know what I'm saying? You got to keep a guy on Ryan Anderson. You can't cheat on defense.
Right. Wait.
When people need to understand.
Well, let's go back for a second.
Wait.
You do hate Melo though.
No, I dislike him.
I can play back your soundbite before.
Let me tell you what I do with Melo. I dislike his game. It's not nothing about him in general. You know what I'm saying? I don't know him personally. I don't know what he does off the court.
Okay.
When George Karl is saying, man, he only cares about himself. When Dan Antonio's quitting because of this guy, Phil Jackson trying to get this guy to change his game, and he just refuses to change his game for the winning of the ball club. That's what I don't like, Coach.
Yeah. Oh, I hear you, and it's the same. I mean, there's a similarity to me and like Russell Westbrook in theory, but yes, because I don't hate Russell Westbrook. His game frustrates me to no end. And the same with Melo. And I did a triangle offense breakdown, a few weeks ago, explaining why that wasn't the issue. And but I had to watch several hundred possessions of him torpedoing the offense over and over again, and it was really annoying. Like not setting the screen, just cutting to get the ball instead of doing what he's supposed to do in the offense. And that just everyone feeds off of that. Now, the only question there is when you got Chris Paul and James Harden, both guys who are willing to give it up, either he takes advantage of that, right, or he gets with the program and kind of feels the energy of the ball moving and wants to contribute. I don't know. At this point, Melo is what, 12 years into his career,
30.
Maybe more?
Yeah, he's 33. He's 33 years old. You're trying to change a guy that's been this way this whole time. I try to change my grandfather. Let me tell you, I try to get my grandfather to get on the computer. He refuses to get on the computer. You know what I'm saying? One time I had to buy him an iPad to show him. He still won't. He still won't go on the computer. You know what I'm saying? That's where everything's at. And you can write. He likes to write articles. I like, hey man, this is what you can do it better on. No, I'm not doing that. When you get to a stage and you're that stubborn, there's a problem, and you can't. I don't think he's going to change his game. Nothing has told me that he will change his game.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. Great point. Well, you know what? Well, let's talk about instead of what's going to happen either or not or we don't know. Let's look at the roster right now and some of the pickups they made. And I want to hear your take on some of these things because remember they like I mentioned earlier, they signed guys like Luc Mbah a Moute, PJ Tucker. Who else did they sign? Is that kind of cover it? And those are two guys who can play some defense and will really help them. And Troy Williams is also he might have been there before. Now I'm thinking about it. But either way, what do you think about those pickups?
You forgot I don't know how to say it. Zhu Kui, the Chinese guy
Joe.
Is 7'2".
We call him Joe.
7'2", and he's got a 7'9" wingspan, and in China he was the defensive player of the year over there. So I think he's the best fit for the. I think he's a good fit for that Dan Antonio offense. You're going to see a lot of players that would usually be in the D League this year because of the roster, because of giving up their whole backups to the Clippers. You're going to see a lot of those guys from the D League coming up to the play on the Rockets this year. They're not going to play heavy minutes, but they're going to play some. And with PJ Tucker, that's a huge time pickup when it comes to defense and everything else. That guy's the only person I've seen that can guard LeBron James. And ain't really nobody that can guard. And I hate to say that he can guard him, but I'm just saying he's up there where he can guard him. You know what I'm saying? That's the only person I've seen that's able to.
Well,
but with Luke, Coach, I don't understand how that guy keeps getting checks in this league. That guy's horrible. I hate to break everybody's bubble with that guy, but I don't understand how this guy keeps getting checks.
I'm willing to say that you're going to change your tune if he gets minutes this year and you see him, because he can knock down the corner three, and he can play some decent defense, and he wants to play defense. He knows that's his role. He's not going to ruffle any feathers. I don't know. I think you might change your tune on that. I watched him a bunch in the Clippers, and of course, his offensive skill is a little bit above like Tony Allen, but there's some stuff there that I think that when we talked about Ryan Anderson being a better fit than Melo, he's maybe not a better player. Well, I think Mbah a Moute is a good fit for what the Rockets need.
I don't think he's a good fit for Dan Antonio's system. I can tell you that. That guy's like a 28 or 29% career three-point shooter. He had a good season last year shooting the ball. I get that. I see why Morey always does that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I understand that. Come on, man. That guy's horrible. He's the modern day Corey Brewer minus the defense. I mean, you know what I'm saying? That's how I feel. I mean, other people are different.
I don't know. You look at he's been.
I didn't see nothing on him in the LA Clippers. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I don't know. His three-point shooting's been trending up. I do know. I got to break out the numbers by spot on the floor, but I do remember that for most of the season, if not the whole season, that corner three. Remember, the D'Antoni offense generates corner threes, and if he can find his way in the offense to get to that position, that's going to be an area and they're going to give him the shot. So it's almost like. there'll be wide open shots. I think he'll be okay there, and I think he'll be able to play, better defense than others. Because remember, you still have Trevor Ariza. I mean, it's weird because D'Antoni almost has ways where he can go out with like a kind of defensive club as well, where you can kind of get Mbah Moute and Ariza around like Chris Paul and Capella, and all of a sudden you got like 4 good defenders out there. That's going to be a really interesting look for them.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. But I don't. Again, we're talking about Dan Antonio, who doesn't care about defense. You know what I'm saying? I tell you what, he wouldn't play Capella if Daryl Morey didn't make him. You know what I'm saying? Because he wants a stretch 5, right? Yeah. Capella's not that guy. So he's not gonna put that many damn defenders out there. Ariza's a good 3-point shooter, especially in the playoffs. All his stats go up. He's a clutch player, and he's one of those players that are a great fit for Harden. But he's getting up there in age, and I believe this, Coach. P.J. Tucker's a better option on defense than Trevor Ariza is.
I've always felt that Ariza's been overrated on defense, so I'm with you on that one. And in fact, I had high hopes for P.J. Tucker being able to guard LeBron in the playoffs last year, and it just didn't work out. But you're right; he's got the body for it, and he's got the mindset for it. And at the very least, they can't even worry about LeBron yet because they got to deal with Mr. Durant and Mr. Curry. So that's going to be their main concern anyway. I wonder, how do they match up with the Warriors then when you're looking at it? You got, I guess you can have Chris Paul trying to beat up on Curry, and then you'll have Harden having to go against Clay, which is interesting. To me, it almost sounds like there's a notion that the Rockets, especially if they want to get Melo, for instance, that what they want to do is outscore the Warriors. They feel like the way to do it is winning 128 to 122. Right?
Yeah, and but they had that same offense last year. They were second in offensive rating. So you know what I'm saying? With Ryan Anderson. Does that take a step back with Melo, or does that take a step forward? No, it doesn't take a step forward. The Warriors are unfair, okay? There is nobody that's going to beat the Warriors. I'm here to tell the world. KD, Curry, Clay, Draymond, it's an unbelievable lineup. It's not. They put out a whole bunch of rookies and second-year players for their backups last year, and they still whooped up on people. You know what I'm saying? So, yep. I mean, I understand where it's coming from. James Harden and Chris Paul are going to put a lot of pressure. See, I want to throw this stat out to everyone. Defensive box plus minus last year, James Harden was a 1.6, all right? I'm sorry, 1.5. LeBron James was 1.6, plus 1.6. Klay Thompson was a minus 2.1. They're over. I've never been a fan of Klay Thompson's defense. I love his effort on it, but he's an overrated defender too. You know what I'm saying? And he can't guard Harden. He's never been able to guard Harden. I don't care what anybody tells you. They're lying to you because the Warriors don't play one person on one player. They switch multiple guys on these guys like the Spurs do. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But the real problem last year, Coach, it was the 7, 8, he is never going to be Pop. He is never going to be Kerr until he fixes that. You got to go to your bench. You wore these guys down last year in the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? You put them in the ground. How are they going to compete with KD and them when Steve Kerr believes in rest, when Popovich believes in giving these guys rest and believes in guys? You know what I'm saying? You can't play a guy all year and then decide, I'm going to put him on the bench. So I don't see them. I don't see anybody beating the Warriors until KD, Curry, Clay, and Draymond are off that team. Draymond is the most important player on that team too. Also, a lot of people don't understand that he's their point guard. He's their rebounder. He's their rim protector. He's all that. He's the leader. You know what I'm saying? The guy. If you take that guy off that team, they're losing 10 or 15 games. You know what I'm saying? That's how important Draymond Green is. And you saw that in the last finals where they suspended him one game for kicking the gonads, and you saw the effects of it. They lost that game, and they lost that series in general because they lost their confidence.
All right, so you just took D'Antoni to the woodshed for not playing his guys in the playoffs. Who in particular are you really upset about then that didn't get run in the playoffs that maybe should have?
Oh, absolutely, Montrezl Harrell. This is a dream player for Doc Rivers. Harrell and Beverly, he's going to get the best out of them. They played him all last year. They didn't play him in the playoffs, maybe 1 or 2 minutes. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they played him a couple minutes and they took him out. And they only played him because Nene went down. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, I mean, and think about it. Nene went down because why? He played a lot of minutes. Coach, he's 35, 36?
Yep.
Dan Antonio's got to stop this crap. He's got to get over it.
Yeah, well, I know he's old school. He wants to win all these games, and he doesn't trust any of the young players to do that. He's like that. He's of a different era where, to me, it's like here's a chance in the middle of a February game where you get a chance. Let's get Harrell some 30 minutes tonight and really see how he does. We lose it, we lose the game. It's not the biggest thing, but I don't think he feels that way from a trust standpoint. It's too bad because it's like there's still some coaches out there in the league that do that. Meanwhile, a guy like Steve Kerr, they get Jordan Bell, who could conceivably be Draymond Green 2.0. And that he's going to get minutes. He's going to play all year long and develop because of that. Whereas another coach like Phil Jackson used to say, "Oh, he's a rookie. I'm not going to play him," and then they don't develop for a while. And so I feel like it's that's why it's unfair for the Warriors. You could argue that they probably had the best team of all time last year, right? And I think we're certainly the top two.
Yeah, I agree.
And they might have improved more than anybody else in the offseason.
Yeah, you're right. You're right, man. I don't know what to say. I can't say nothing bad about the Warriors because they play the style of game that you would love your team to play. Mm-hmm. They play number one in defense and number one in offense, or they was number two in defense, one of the two, but they were number one in defense and number two in the playoffs. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's what they do, man. You can't beat a team if they don't have no flaws. You know what I'm saying? Kevin Durant went 35 points against LeBron James per game on 56 or 57% shooting and 47% for three. That's damn amazing. Right. Against LeBron James?
Well, LeBron is not a defender anymore. And he certainly hasn't been able to defend Kevin Durant for a while. However, let me throw this out there because this came up on Twitter. I'm curious your take. I feel like after a couple of years, people are going to slowly start to forget about Kevin Durant's decision to go to Golden State and hold him consider him a snake. I feel like everyone's memories are so short these days that it just goes away. The anger goes away, and what we're left with was like all these rings and how well he played in the finals and all that stuff. Don't you agree, or do you think that people are going to 10 years from now still be burning Durant OKC jerseys?
Oh, absolutely. You know what I'm saying? Did you see his little hat he came out with a cupcake and a ring on it? You know what I'm saying? That's only adding fuel to the fire. You know what I'm saying? And then he goes on Twitter saying some crazy stuff about the OKC and gets caught. You know what I'm saying? Listen, man, I'm waiting for the day for when Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook tell me that they didn't like each other and that's why they left one another. And I'm waiting for Kevin Durant to say, you know what, Russell Westbrook, you took too many damn shots. And you know what I'm saying? When I should have got the ball, I'm waiting for you to just tell me the damn truth. You know what I'm saying? Don't lie to me on
Yeah, but he's said, if you piece together all the little, all the Bill Simmons podcast interviews, you can pretty much get that sense that like he didn't like playing with Russ. And I know they said they were best friends during that time, and that could be debatable as well. But at the very least, he didn't like playing with Russ. It sounded like he didn't like Donovan either, and the way he sort of and my take on it was he said he wanted more structure, and to me that just meant he wanted him to coach more and stop like letting Russ do what Russ wanted to do. Here come all the Russell Westbrook fans on me. But either way, it really felt like, because remember, if Kevin Durant was in that position and playing the point guard position, and he could take advantage of shot selection and decision making, then Russ could have left and had the same argument. But the bottom line was Russ was the guy. He has been the lightning rod for a number of players that have gotten out of there for various reasons. And at some point, you got to put on that Michael Jackson song and look in the mirror.
Yeah, let me. You send all your Russell Westbrook fans over to me, okay? Because okay. Russell Westbrook was one of the worst efficient scorers in the league last year, okay? That's why they had the 10th best record. He was jumping over. He was not even playing defense the whole year. He was settling, trying to get the rebound. You seen that? He was jumping up trying to get he's standing by the rim and leaving his man wide open to get rebounds. He was telling his players, "Don't grab the rebound. I'm gonna get it." This is what the OKC fans are so lost with. Listen, let me tell you something. Oh, he gets the ball so he can drive it up to the ground. No, that's not what he was doing. He was grabbing rebounds to get his triple doubles. That's what he was worried about all year. Wasn't worried about wins. It showed in the playoffs. He did the same thing, shooting his team out of wins. You know what I'm saying? Pass the ball. You're one of the worst shooters on your team. All right? I don't care how many assists you got. You know, another thing, Coach. I've been so pissed off about this. You know, they want to say, well, he had the 5th or 6th best. No, they had the 10th best record in the NBA. The Rockets had the third best record in the NBA. How the hell do you give it to Russell Westbrook? I just talk about it. I don't want to talk about it no more. But I'm gonna have all these OKC fans up my butt. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You need to understand. It doesn't matter how many shots you shoot.
Yeah. Oh, I hear it. I mean, James Hollis and I, just snotty dripping on Twitter, we're supposed to have a big Russell Westbrook showdown podcast. I should just send you for me instead, and you go at him because
I know every number. I know every stat, Coach. You know what I'm saying? I've been watching, eyeing this guy down all year. I've been watching videos for the last 2 weeks on this. Yeah. You know, so I wrote an article last week on how Russell Westbrook was just chasing rebounds. He had 2 more rebounds than Harden. 2 more rebounds. And when you look at all the efficient scoring, none of it even is close to Harden.
Yeah.
Not even close.
And then there was some stat.
I mean, I think it was like 56.
Yeah. There was a stat about him contesting shots, I believe, as well, where he literally didn't contest hardly any shots comparative to any other point guards in the league, which
to centers.
What you're saying.
Centers. Coach, to centers. Whiteside. They contested more 3-pointers than damn Russell Westbrook. That's a problem, man. You know what I'm saying? I don't care what anybody said. Right, let me tell you something. Russell Westbrook is a good defender when he wants to be a good defender. I'm not saying that he's not a bad he's a bad defender. What I'm saying is that he was chasing triple doubles over winning. That's a problem, and they rewarded him for it. That's terrible. When have you ever seen anybody with that type of record and that type of worse efficient scoring and get the MVP? It's never been done. Oscar Robertson has didn't win the MVP when he averaged a triple double because his team wasn't good. Let's be real, man. They gave it to him because they all was happy that KD left. You know what I'm saying? They gave it to him.
It's narratives. It was a narrative, and it was a historic season, and you have to acknowledge that no one had done that since Oscar, so there was something there. But and I agree. I mean, I don't know. Certainly, Harden deserved to win the MVP as much or more, I suppose, than Russ. I do know that, in the NBA, I think that Harden scares more teams than Russ does. I feel like most of those teams in the NBA will say Russ will probably get his numbers, but will probably do 2 or 3 things that will hurt them in the fourth quarter, and we'll be able to take the game. Harden, on the other hand, doesn't make those kind of mistakes and puts so much pressure on the other defense that that's what scares them the most. And I think that's what we missed out with the Warriors Rockets series last year, was that he just didn't have any gas left.
No, and the other thing too, a lot of people didn't point this out. Harden made everyone better last year. Everyone had career years thanks to Harden. You know what I'm saying? He's figured it out. He's figured it out what it takes to win and what he had to do, and he's been unselfish about it at the same time. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, he was number 1 in assists per game last year. They moved him from shooting guard to point guard and didn't complain about it not once. He just did what he had to do and made his teammates better. Russell Westbrook did not make anybody better on his team last year. You want to tell me all the people had a couple went a little higher in 3-point percentage? Okay, that's fine. That's expected when you have somebody that's a force like that on offense. Everybody's stats had to go down because of all the rebounds he had. Like Russell Westbrook. It's terrible what's going down there at OKC. They won't be until Russell Westbrook changes his game and says, you know what? I need to stop staying that efficient. That team will still be 4th or 5th next year. And Paul George will be gone. He will be in LA Lakers next year.
Right. Well, that's a good prediction. We'll have to find out how that works. That sounds about reasonable. But we know whether or not Russell Westbrook has made the game worse or better for his team. You certainly made the podcast better for coming on the show today. So, Curtlow, I can't thank you enough for coming on. And you guys got to check him out. He calls in. You call in daily, right, to the SiriusXM NBA?
I wouldn't say calling in daily. I said calling in to harass Eddie Johnson and Tremaine. You know what I'm saying? That's from 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock in the afternoons on SiriusXM. Check out them guys because they're really good at what they do. And also, man, y'all better check out B-Ball Breakdown and my boy Coach Nick. Coach Nick breaks it down all day, every day. The man works harder than most people in the business. You know what I'm saying? Put some damn respect on Coach Nick's name, man.
Hey, thank you so much.
I'm sorry I had to point that
this would be exciting season because we're just keep getting bigger and bigger, and we have a lot of cool stuff to come out with. Actually, what do you think about this? I'm going to start going a lot of the shoot-arounds and getting one-on-one interviews. Like I've done those in the past. And I'm going to actually start doing a thing where you could pay like, I don't know, $2 a month and get access to all of those interviews, the raw footage. What do you think? People are going to want to see that, right?
I pay for it. That's for damn sure.
All right, well, that's one big thing we're going to do. And we're also going to choose a couple teams and have a writer assigned to that team. And so if you pay, we'll do a premium content. We'll have to figure out what it is, but you're going to get up to like 8 articles a month specifically about the teams, the Rockets maybe and the Cavaliers. We're going to do a couple teams. And I'm excited about that too. So we're going to get we're going to have beat writers this year a little bit. So got a lot of cool stuff. And I can't wait to see more of what's going on with you. Don't forget, everyone, you can follow Curtlow at SWH Town 30, and that's where you want to follow him. He's a great follow too, and he really knows his Rocket stuff. So Curtlow, thanks for coming on.
No, thank you, Coach, and man, y'all have a blessed day, man, and appreciate all your support for Houston.
You got it. And don't forget, sports fans, at B-Ball Breakdown, we're not a channel, we're a conversation. You in? Are you in, Curtlow?
I'm in.